Hey guys, Rollout here with LEGO Junk Warrior and Yusei's Duel Runner. I have been a casual fan of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime since I was a kid. I sort of fell out of it when the original series ended, but one summer a few years ago, I decided to get back in and discover some of the newer seasons. I was surprised to find that my favorite series of Yu-Gi-Oh! Is 5D's. Card games on motorcycles sounds really silly, but the show is pretty good. Way back when, I built this Duel Runner, and for years I didn't know what to do with it. It just sort of sat on a shelf. But more recently, I built Junk Warrior to go along with it, so let's finally take a closer look at them. If we're being honest, Yusei is more of an accessory to the rest of the model, because it's very difficult to capture an anime character without completely customizing a minifigure, obviously. So I threw this together to fulfill a purpose, and I think it does just that. I could have given him some spiky Exoforce hair, but he's so rarely going to be standing on his own like this, I figured, why bother? He has a red helmet, a blue jacket, and some brown gloves and boots, and I think that's acceptable. His very simple dual disc can come off and reattach to the main console of the bike, and I think that's pretty cool. Now, I have seen so many large-scale dual runners with minifigures on top, and it's perfectly understandable because it's very tricky to build a dual runner at this size. That said, it was my goal to try and get it as minifigure scale accurate as possible, and I like to think I did a pretty good job. Of course, some of the angles and curves are slightly inaccurate. Specifically, this back section here is supposed to be a lot more circular, but given the limitations, I tried my best. I especially like the wheels with the gaps in the center. Those are attached with some bits of flex tube, which serve a dual purpose as the kind of anti-friction rollers on the inside. The controls can also go up and down, which I think is pretty cool. Obviously, there is a gap in the center to accommodate a minifigure, and Yusei fits in there fairly snugly thanks to his helmet and this top section, which is, again, a little bit inaccurate because it's supposed to come up over the top of his head a little bit more, but all things considered, I think it looks pretty good. Bring this down. And now he's ready to duel. I also added this little burnout effect here, which attaches to the side so that the bike can tilt, and I think that looks a whole lot more dynamic. It is a lot of fun to build futuristic motorcycles at this scale. It's definitely a test of micro-engineering, and speaking of which, here it is with my old Tron Legacy light cycle, which is a little bit obsolete now that there is an official Tron Legacy set, but I still like this a lot and can't bring myself to take it apart, and they look fantastic side by side. Junk Warrior was similarly difficult to realize at such a small scale, but I found it fun trying to come up with solutions to a lot of his details with so few pieces. I think I ran into the most trouble trying to find appropriate elements in tan for all of his sort of champagne gold accents, and in the end I decided to go for light gray instead. But I used as much of the old version of the color as possible, which has kind of a yellow tint to it, and I think that's an okay compromise. Zooming in just a little bit here, you can see he has the wings on his shoulders, as well as the turbines, his punchy fist, the goggles, his muffler, and the billowing scarf back here, which is attached at 2 different points to get it going at different angles. You can remove and reattach those however you see fit to get them into different positions. The same is possible with his shoulders, which are a little bit limited because of this armor up here. I found it difficult to make him articulated properly, so I had to do this instead, and it makes him a little bit more of a display piece rather than an action figure. His elbows can bend because they're on a little bit of flex tube, but not too far. That said, he can assume a select few positions that I want to get him into, and for my purposes, I think that's fair enough. I used some pretty interesting parts usage in the head. This is actually a Santa beard turned upside down on a Lego Movie robot face with a Power Miner's helmet. And as far as purist solutions to interesting head designs goes, I think that's a pretty good one. Now, it was very difficult to get his legs looking accurate, so instead of trying to make them exact, I wanted to capture the essence of them, and I think they end up looking pretty good. He does have his landing gear rocket skates there, which he is able to balance and stand on, as you saw earlier. It's pretty tricky, but definitely possible. If nothing else, I think he looks pretty cool and is at least recognizable as Junk Warrior. As tribute to my childhood interest in Yu-Gi-Oh!, pun entirely intended, I decided that I should probably have something to represent it on my Lego shelf, and I had a whole lot of fun building this. If there's one thing I know for certain, it's that there is not nearly enough Lego Yu-Gi-Oh! Creations out there, and I challenge anyone even slightly interested to try building a couple Duel monsters. If you want to see me do more of this in the future, definitely let me know you liked this video, and until next time, this has been Rollout, signing off.